Assessment of Manrega Devlopment Scheam in India. Abstract: the rural improvement by and large alludes to the way toward improving the personal satisfaction and financial prosperity of individuals living in generally disengaged and meagerly populated zones. Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, MGNREGA, is considered as a silver bullet for killing provincial destitution and joblessness, via creating interest for profitable workforce in towns. It gives an elective wellspring of vocation which will affect lessening relocation, limiting youngster work, lightening destitution, and making towns self-supporting through gainful resources creation like street development, tidying up of water tanks, soil and water preservation work, and so on, for which it has been considered as the biggest enemy of neediness program on the planet. In this paper, in light of the auxiliary information, an endeavor has been put forth to extensively comprehend the improvement attempt to revamp the provincial life and work dependent on different optional information. Keywords: India, rural improvement, expansion, improvement projects. Introduction. In India, out of absolute populace of 141 crores, 84.3 crores live in provincial zones, Census of India, 2017. Consequently, almost 70% of the India's populace lives in country zones. These rustic populaces can be described by mass neediness, low degrees of education and pay, significant degree of joblessness, and helpless sustenance and well-being status. To handle these issues, various country advancement programs are being carried out to set out open doors for development of the personal satisfaction of these provincial individuals. The expression provincial turn of events is the general advancement of rustic zones to improve the personal satisfaction of country individuals. What's more, it is an interaction prompting practical improvement in the personal satisfaction of rustic individuals, particularly the poor. The country formative projects plan to diminish the destitution and joblessness, to improve the well-being and instructive status, and to satisfy the essential requirements like food, sanctuary, and apparel of the provincial populace. To improve the states of rustic individuals, Government of India dispatched a few plans through the Arranging Commission of India like Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, MGNREGA, Rastriya Samavikas Yojana, RSVY, Indira Awas Yojana, IAY, Sampoorna Gramin Rozgar Yojana, SGRY, Integrated Tribal Development Project, ITDP, Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, PMGSY, Integrated Child Development Services, ICDS, Development of Women and Children in Rural Areas, TCRA, and so forth. Every one of these plans are intended to decrease the hole among country and metropolitan individuals, which would help diminish irregular characteristics and accelerate the improvement cycle. Manrega. 1. The historical perspective. The post-independence time frame, the government needed to elevate the financial condition, SEC, of their kin who essentially relied on woodland items and everyday work. Another significant part of the administrative viewpoint was to settle the rustic populace as agribusiness populace. The Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, 2005, ensures 100 days of work in a monetary year to any provincial family whose grown-up individuals will accomplish incompetent manual work. The act has come into power with impact from April 2009. Out of 250 locales at first, and later on, it was stretched out to every one of the provincial regions of India from the monetary year 2009 to 10. MGNREGA has come after very nearly 56 years of involvement of other provincial business programs, which incorporate both centrally sponsored schemes and those dispatched by state governments. These include the National Rural Employment Program, NREP, 1980-89, Rural Landless Employment Guarantee Program, RLAP, 1983-89, Jawahar Rojagar Yojana, JRY, 1989-1990, Employment Assurance Scheme, EAS, 199,399. Jawahar Gram Samriddhi Yojana, JGSY, 1999-2002, Sampoorna Gramin Rojagar Yojana, SGRY, 2001, National Food for Work Program, NFFWP, 2004. Among these projects, the SGRY and NFFWP have been converged with MGNREGA in 2005. The act was executed in staged way. 130 areas were included. 200,708. With its spread more than 628 areas the nation over, the lead program of the UPA government can possibly build the buying force of country poor, decrease trouble movement and to make valuable resources in provincial India. Likewise, it can cultivate social and sex correspondence as 25% specialists under the plan are scheduled castes, 19% scheduled tribes and 53% ladies. In 201,011, 41 million families were utilized on MGNREGA worksites. To the present study. In the current audit paper, we explored the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, MGNREGA, in detail with the assistance of auxiliary information. The information was gathered between January 2019 to April 2019. Here two contextual analyses are additionally referred to dependent on direct field work. The current investigation means to survey the general situation, i.e., the advantages and disadvantages related with the plan with the accompanying destinations. To survey and get new bits of knowledge on advancement of MGNREGA, just as generally speaking financial effect of various rustic improvement programs on the existences of the provincial individuals. 2. To report the improvement or changes brought by MGNREGA in the existences of the country poor at the family level and town level. MGNREGA, the present status. A few creators have endeavored to examine the MGNREGA in detail and its connected issues. Takes a gander at the defilement in rustic business programs in Orissa, India, and how this has proceeded in MGNREGA too. As per Mathur, 2007, an arrangement of customary and ceaseless progression of legitimate data is fundamental, instead of the irregular reports and studies subject to the activity of people and gatherings. To improve execution, the public authority needs to take care of issues, adjust strategy mandates, and issue operational rules for the locale, square, and town levels. The public authority should start to lead the pack, be proactive, activate organizations and gatherings, and utilize the media adequately. NREGS includes a few lakhs of government authorities, panchayat functionaries, chosen delegates, NGOs and local gatherings. They assume a basic part, however had little groundwork for the test. NREGS indeed is a program of public significance which has been minimized. While the Ministry of Rural Development is the nodal service at the middle, each significant office and office requires being included gave a few significant proposals. These included organizations of full-time experts devoted to MGNREGA at all levels, particularly at the square level. Escalated exertion at developing a huge unit of completely prepared grassroots laborers is needed at the Gram Panchayat level through a cross-country development for limit building, drawing in government, and non-government preparing foundations. Malhotra, 2008, a government worker who has worked in execution of the plan, accepts that 4% of program costs allotted as managerial expenses and expert help is still very low and doesn't perceive the way that a program at the size of MGNREGA needs genuine expert help. CRA, 2008, feels that the fruitful execution of the MGNREGA in the paddy block in Orissa, India, state goes past the capacity of its occupants to guarantee their privileges. This is brought out by the significant degrees of commitment with the program as far as arranging, execution and checking. Mathur, 2009, states that in friendly review embraced in Andhra Pradesh, India, it was tracked down that in specific towns, a few groups expressed that they had not been paid for the work done. At the point when examinations were made of the installments according to the passbook with the installment according to the work card, it was found that the work card didn't contain the inward pages that record the work done by every individual. The work card itself was deficient. The MGNREGA should be an emotionally supportive network for the urgently poor and should empower, energize, and engage them to remain on their own feet. In its current configuration, the MGNREGA could turn out to be one more appropriation program that risks turning into a weight on the country. The Economic Times, 2009. Country advancement is the need of great importance. It comprises the advancement of provincial locales as well as targets improving the prosperity and personal satisfaction to the rustic poor through aggregate interaction. It is obvious from the audit that however this program is intended for improving the existence states of individuals in the provincial settings, yet this program experiences a few inadequacies. Hence, the definite audit of writing unmistakably shows that there is a requirement for broad anthropological exploration work for understanding the financial effect of MGNREGA program on rustic Indian. Observations from the field. The following case studies are cited based on first-hand field work conducted at village of Cuddalore district in Tamil Nadu, India, and Didia village of Rajanantgaon district in Chhattisgarh, India. Case 1, name, Vaibhav age, 35. She lives in Thirkathatai Panchayat of Melba Banajari Hariya village Kalalabad. She is a widow and has a son who studies in the XIth standard. She says that agricultural work is available only for about 6 months in a year and that too not continuously. Some of the work like harvesting paddy is done by couples, husband and wife together, and she is not able to go for such work since she is a widow. She however can work under MGNREGA. She has worked for 30 days in 2019 to 2020 and has used the income she earned to support her son's education. She is happy that MGNREGA wages are paid every week and would like to get a card for her son so that he too can work. Case 2, name, Sheila Devi age, 45. She lives in Dhanpat Ganjay village of Damansara Panchayat, Rajanantgaon block. She has BPL card and her family used to stay in a kaka house. Recently she and her husband built a brick house for them. She came to know about the provisions under the MGNREGA through a public announcement in the village. She decided to work under MGNREGA. Last year she and her husband worked under MGNREGA for 100 days and earned a good amount of money at the rate of Rs60 per day. As the small amount of land they have is enough to fulfill their basic food necessities. Finally, they decided to spend money earned by MGNREGA to build a Paka house for them. Thus, it is clear from the cited cases that MGNREGA is a very important rural development program in India as it helps the rural poor to earn their livelihood. This program can go in a long way to improve the socio-economic status of the rural poor. Conclusion. Around 70% of the Indian population is living in rural areas. People in rural areas should have same QOL as is enjoyed by people living in suburban and urban areas. Furthermore, the cascading effects of poverty, unemployment, poor and inadequate infrastructure in rural areas on urban centers is leading to socio-economic tensions manifesting in economic deprivation and urban poverty. Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, MGNREGA, is considered as a silver bullet for eradicating rural poverty and unemployment, by way of generating demand for productive labor force in Indian villages. It provides an alternative source of livelihood which will have an impact on reducing migration, restricting child labor, alleviating poverty, and making villages self-sustaining through productive assets creation such as road construction, cleaning up of water tanks, soil and water conservation work, etc. For which it has been considered as the largest anti-poverty program in the world. Since the scheme is going to be in place for an undefined period, and is being enlarged in terms of scope and geographical coverage, there are many challenges like no homogeneity in its effectiveness, region-specific disparities and outcomes etc. It is exactly due to this reason, few NGOs have already done some surveys. However, they are very much confined to 1 or 2 districts, and more importantly centered on systemic defects, rather than probing the impact of their programs on beneficiaries. There is a necessity to carry out an in-depth review of these rural development programs with 2 different strategies, i.e., All India study by capturing signals from all corners of the country, considering all the regions, and 2. Comprehensive coverage of all the objectives and clauses preserved in the MGNREGA in a broad manner. Thus, there is also a need to critically examine the implementation process of this program and its impact on livelihood of the rural people. It can be concluded that the success of this act depends upon its proper implementation, and in this scenario, the community participation is very important to make this program more effective.